there is a quiet, heavy ache that has nothing to do with what you have done, and everything to do with the story it has led you to believe about who you are. How can you ever truly rest when the very person you are trying to find peace as feels like the source of the problem? When the quiet of the night just echoes the verdict you have passed on yourself? Tonight, we are not going to fight that story. We will not try to argue with it or banish it into the darkness. Instead, we will simply explore if there might be a space, even a very small one, that exists between the action and the identity. A quiet, gentle space of breath where you are allowed to just be. A space where tenderness can enter, not as a reward for being perfect or for figuring it all out, but simply because you are here, breathing in this moment. We are holding the possibility that sleep is not an escape, but a sanctuary, a place where we can lay down the heavy weight of who we think we are and allow a deeper, kinder truth to hold us until morning. So let us begin by simply arriving right where you are. There is nowhere else you need to be. There is nothing else you need to do. Just be here. Feel the surface that is holding you. The mattress, the pillows, the foundation beneath your body that is offering its complete and unconditional support. It asks nothing of you. It is simply present, solid, and reliable. Allow yourself to truly receive that support. Give the weight of your body over to it. Notice the points of contact where you and the bed meet, the back of your head on the pillow, the gentle curve of your neck, the breadth of your shoulders sinking down. Feel the weight of your arms, your hands resting wherever they have naturally fallen. Notice the solidness of your hips, the length of your legs, the weight of your feet. Let gravity do its work. There's nothing to hold up right now. You have been holding so much for so long. For tonight, just for this time, you are invited to let it all be held and become aware of the blankets or the sheets that cover you. Notice their texture against your skin, their gentle pressure, their comforting warmth. This is your small, safe world for the night, a harbor. Within the boundaries of this bed, in the quiet of this room, everything is allowed to soften. Everything is allowed to be exactly as it is. And as you settle into this physical space, let's gently acknowledge that heavy story you have been carrying. You don't need to dive into the details or relive a single moment. Simply notice, with a kind of gentle curiosity, how that story might be living in your body right now. Perhaps it feels like a familiar tightness in your chest, a subtle clenching in your jaw, or a hollow, guarded feeling in your stomach. For so many of us, this kind of shame takes up residence in the body. It becomes a kind of armor we wear without even realizing it. We hold our breath in anticipation. We brace for an impact that never comes. We clench our muscles as if preparing for a fight. Tonight, we are just going to notice it, without judgment, without needing it to go away, simply observing with a soft, quiet mind. Ah, there it is, the tension in my shoulders. This is how my body holds this story. Or, I feel that familiar knot in my stomach. This is the physical shape of this feeling. By naming it so gently, you create a little space around it. You see that you are not the tension. You are the one who is noticing the tension. You are not the ache. You are the awareness that is holding the ache with kindness. And in that tiny, precious separation, there is freedom. There is breath. Now let your awareness come to rest on the gentle, steady rhythm of your own breathing. Just the simple, physical sensation of it. Feel the air entering your body, the way your chest or your belly softly rises to receive it. And then the complete release of the exhale, the letting go, the sinking down. There is no need to change your breath in any way. No need to control it or make it deeper. Your body knows exactly how to breathe. It has been breathing for you every single moment of your life, a faithful, constant companion. It is a simple, reliable rhythm that moves beneath the noise of the mind. The story of who you think you are might feel so complex, so loud and convincing, full of arguments and evidence and painful memories. But the breath is utterly simple. It is just this: an inhale and an exhale, a rising and a falling. This breath is your anchor to the present moment, a moment that is free from the past, a moment untouched by the future. Whenever the story feels too heavy, too real, you can always return to this simple physical truth, the feeling of being alive, right here, right now, in this body, breathing. Let each breath be a gentle wave washing through you, clearing just a little more space. Allow your awareness to expand now, to include the room around you. Sense the space, the quality of the darkness behind your closed eyelids. Notice any sounds that may be present. The gentle hum of the house, a distant noise from outside. These sounds are not a distraction. They are part of the symphony of this moment. They can pass right through your awareness, like clouds moving across the night sky. Feel the temperature of the air on your skin. You are held not only by your bed, but by the quiet stillness of this room, by the deep peace of the night itself. The night does not judge. It simply holds all things in its vast, dark embrace. And in this space, we can set a gentle intention for our time together. The intention is not to erase what happened. It is not to solve or to fix yourself. The intention is simply to meet yourself with tenderness, to find a way to hold your own story with the same compassion you might offer to a beloved friend. The intention is to allow yourself the grace of rest, right in the midst of your imperfection, to discover that you do not have to be perfect to be at peace. You do not have to have all the answers to deserve to sleep. You only need to be willing, just for this moment, to let go of the gavel, to release yourself from the roles of judge and jury, and to simply be here, a human being doing their very best. So with your next exhale, imagine you are releasing just one small piece of that heavy armor. It doesn't have to be the whole thing, just a loosening around the edges, an exhale of effort, an exhale of striving, an exhale that says, for tonight, it is enough. I have done enough. I am enough. Feel the support beneath you, the warmth around you, and the gentle breath within you. This is your sanctuary. This is your safe place to rest. You have arrived, and you are welcome here exactly as you are. As you rest here, held in the quiet of this space, let's gently turn our awareness toward that heavy story we mentioned. There is no need to force anything, no need to dig for it. It is likely already present, a familiar hum beneath the surface of your thoughts. It is the story that feels more true than any other, especially when you are tired, especially in the dark. It's a story that often speaks in very simple, very powerful words. For some, it whispers, I am broken. For others, the words are, I am unlovable, or I am not a good person. Perhaps it says, there's something fundamentally wrong with me. Whatever the specific words are for you, just notice them for a moment. See them not as a truth, but as a collection of sounds, a vibration, a well-worn recording that plays in the mind. You don't have to agree with it. You don't have to argue with it. We are simply acknowledging its presence. Ah, there is that story again. I hear you. This act of simple, non-judgmental acknowledgement is profoundly powerful. It is like turning on a soft lamp in a dark room. You don't chase the shadows away. You simply allow light to coexist with them. You see things more clearly. You see that the story is a story. It is not the room itself. Consider for a moment, with the same gentle curiosity, how this story was built. How did a behavior, a choice, or perhaps a whole season of your life become a final verdict on your entire character? It is a strange and painful kind of alchemy that the mind performs. It takes a single event, a moment of fear, a mistake made in confusion, a reaction born of pain, and it holds it up like a magnifying glass to the sun, using it to burn a single damning word onto your soul. A single chapter is mistaken for the entire book. A single grainy photograph is presented as the definitive portrait of who you are. And we so often believe it without question. We carry that photograph in our pocket, pulling it out in quiet moments to remind ourselves of our supposed flaws, our essential unworthiness. But tonight, we are creating a safe space to simply notice this process, to witness it without getting swept away by it. You can observe the story as you might observe a movie playing on a distant screen. You see the characters, you hear the dialogue, but you know that you are sitting safely in your seat. You are the audience, not the actor caught in the drama. From this place of witness, you can begin to feel the sheer weight of this belief. Feel what it does to your body to carry the idea that you are fundamentally flawed. Notice the tension it creates, the energy it consumes. To live inside that story is exhausting. It requires constant vigilance, a relentless internal critic, and a deep, guarded bracing against the world. It is the heaviest thing you carry, heavier than any physical object, and you have been carrying it for so long. Let yourself acknowledge the effort of that, the deep, soul-level weariness that comes from holding up a story that hurts you. Your shoulders are tired, your heart is tired. And here, in the safety of your bed, you can allow for the possibility of setting it down, if only for a little while. You don't have to throw it away or pretend it doesn't exist. You can simply place it beside you. Imagine taking that heavy, invisible cloak, the one woven from threads of I am broken and I am not enough, and gently, carefully slipping it from your shoulders. You fold it with a strange kind of reverence, for it has been a part of you for so long, a misguided attempt to make sense of your pain. And you place it on a chair beside the bed. It's still there. You can see it, but it is not on you. Feel the lightness, the release in your shoulders. Take a breath into the space that has been created, a breath that is not constricted by the weight of that old story. This is just an experiment, a momentary reprieve. What does it feel like to simply be you, right here, breathing, without the cloak? Perhaps it feels unfamiliar, perhaps a little vulnerable. That's okay. Stay with the physical sensations, the feeling of the sheets, the gentle rise and fall of your own chest, the solid support of the mattress beneath you. These things are real. They are happening right now. The story, on the other hand, is a collection of thoughts about the past. It is a memory, interpreted and reinterpreted until it feels like a solid object. But it is not. It is made of thought, and thought is like the wind. It can be powerful, but you can also feel it pass by without being carried away by it. The purpose of this moment is not to convince you that the story is false. The purpose is to show you that you can exist outside of it. You can have a moment of peace even while the story is still in the room. You can breathe. You can soften. You can rest. The story does not have to be your master. It can simply be a visitor, one you observe with a calm, dispassionate kindness, but one you no longer have to serve. Let your mind be vast like the night sky. The story, with all its painful words and images, can be like a single dark cloud passing through. The sky does not fight the cloud. It does not panic or try to push it away. It simply holds it, allowing it to drift by in its own time, knowing that its own vast, starry nature remains unchanged. You are the sky. The story is the cloud. Allow it to be there, floating in the vast, quiet space of your awareness without needing it to be different. This is a radical act of self-compassion, to stop fighting, to stop resisting, to simply allow. In this allowance, a deep peace can begin to take root. A peace that does not depend on your story changing, but on your relationship to it changing. You are the one who is aware. You are the one who is noticing. And in this awareness, you are already free. So let the breath continue its simple, rhythmic dance, inhaling and exhaling. With each exhale, you sink a little deeper into this space of quiet observation, a little further into the comforting embrace of your bed. The heavy story is just a story. Tonight, you can let it be and choose to rest instead in the simple, undeniable truth of your own presence, right here, right now. As you rest here, allowing that heavy story to simply be, without fighting it or believing it, there is something profoundly important to understand. You are not alone in this feeling. This deep identity-level shame, this sense of being fundamentally flawed, is one of the most painful, but also one of the most common experiences of being human, especially when we are hurting. It is a hallmark of a wounded heart. Think of it this way. When we have a deep physical injury, the body sends all its resources to that spot. It swells. It becomes tender. It demands our attention. It consumes our awareness. In the same way, when we experience emotional pain, a betrayal, a loss, or a moment where we profoundly betray ourselves, the psyche rushes to make sense of it. And in its desperate attempt to find a reason, to find a cause for the pain so that it can be controlled or prevented in the future, it often lands on the simplest, most available explanation. It must be me. I am the problem. This is not a logical conclusion. It is a primal, protective one. It is a child's logic. A child who experiences chaos or neglect in their home doesn't think, my caregivers are overwhelmed and have their own unresolved trauma. They think, I am bad. If I were better, this wouldn't be happening. It is a tragic but brilliant survival strategy. By blaming oneself, the child preserves the image of the caregiver as safe and powerful, which is essential for survival. And more than that, it creates a sense of agency, a fragile illusion of control. If I am the problem, then maybe I can be the solution. If I can just be good enough, smart enough, quiet enough, then maybe the pain will stop. We carry this unconscious pattern with us into adulthood. So when we make a mistake that causes ourselves or others pain, this old, deep programming can activate with incredible force. The mistake is no longer just a mistake. It becomes the proof we have secretly been looking for all along. The confirmation of that old, terrifying belief that there is something wrong with us at our core. So of course you feel this way. Of course, this shame feels so deep and so personal. Given what you have been through, given the stories you might have been told or told yourself throughout your life, this feeling is a completely understandable response. It is the echo of a very old pain, a very old strategy for survival. There is no need to judge yourself for feeling it. In fact, validating the feeling is the first step toward loosening its grip. You can say to yourself, with genuine kindness, of course this feels so big. Of course I feel ashamed. It makes perfect sense that I would feel this way. This is not the same as agreeing with the content of the shame. You are not saying, yes, it's true, I am fundamentally flawed. You are simply saying, yes, it's true that I am feeling this intense emotion, and I understand why it's here. This simple act of validation is like offering a cool cloth to a fevered brow. It brings comfort. It reduces the inner conflict. You stop fighting with yourself, and that alone conserves an immense amount of energy. Let's use an analogy to explore this further. This feeling of identity shame is like a heavy, dark cloak. Imagine it. Perhaps it's made of thick, coarse wool, soaked with rain. It's incredibly heavy, and when you wear it, it chills you to the bone. It restricts your movement, hides your face in shadow, and makes you feel isolated from the world. You might have been wearing it for so long that you've forgotten you even have it on. You believe that its coldness is your coldness, its weight is your weight, its darkness is your darkness. You've come to believe that the cloak is your skin, but it is not your skin. It is a cloak. It is something you are wearing, not something you are. And what's more, it is a cloak that has been worn by countless others. If you could see with a wider lens, you would see so many people walking through their lives, wrapped in this same heavy garment of shame, each believing they are the only one. They hide it well, covering it with smiles and achievements and busy lives. But underneath, they too are shivering. The pain of believing you are fundamentally flawed is a shared human sorrow. It is part of the curriculum of being alive. It is a wound we are all susceptible to. Seeing this doesn't diminish your own pain, but it can lessen the profound isolation that shame creates. It connects you back to the human family. You are not a unique case of brokenness. You are a human being, having a deeply human experience. You are part of a vast, silent fellowship of people who have, at times, felt lost in the same painful story. And just as you can feel compassion for them, knowing their struggles, you can begin to turn that same compassion toward yourself. You can look at yourself, metaphorically wrapped in this cloak, and feel not judgment, but a tender sadness. Ah, look at this dear one, struggling under such a heavy weight. Let me help you rest for a while. This shift in perspective, from judgment to compassion, changes everything. It is the beginning of healing. It is the moment you stop identifying with the cloak and start identifying with the warm, living being who is underneath it. So, as you lie here, breathing in the quiet darkness, feel this sense of shared humanity. You are not on an island. Your struggles are not evidence of your otherness, but of your deep connection to the human condition. Let this knowledge be a balm. Let it soften the sharp edges of your self-judgment. You belong here. Your pain is understood here. You are one of us. And like all of us, you deserve a place to lay down your burdens and find rest. Feel the support of the bed beneath you as a symbol of this larger holding. The earth holds everyone without condition. The night enfolds all of us in its quiet. Allow yourself to be held. Allow yourself to belong. And allow the truth to sink in, deeper than the story of shame. This feeling is not your skin. It is a cloak, and you can learn to set it down. Resting in this sense of shared humanity, let's now gently invite a small but profound shift in perception. We are going to explore the space that exists between an action and the self, between what you did and who you are. Our minds are incredibly efficient at collapsing this space. In an instant, an action, I said something hurtful, becomes an identity. I am a hurtful person. A behavior, I failed at this project, becomes a verdict. I am a failure. This mental shortcut is swift and brutal, leaving no room for nuance, context, or compassion. But what if we could consciously, gently, pry that space open again? What if we could introduce a pause, a moment of breath, between the event and the label? Let's try it now, not with force, but with a soft and curious focus. Bring to mind, without needing to immerse yourself in the emotional details, the situation that is at the root of this shame. Just let it hover at the edges of your awareness. See it as a single scene in a long film, a single frame. Now, let's carefully separate the elements. On one hand, there is the what happened. This is the data, the observable facts. It might be a series of words that were spoken, an action that was taken, an action that was not taken. Try to see it with the neutral eye of a camera, just for a moment. Stripped of interpretation, stripped of judgment. What were the raw mechanics of the event? Notice how difficult this is. The mind immediately rushes in with its story, its meaning-making, its chorus of shoulds and shouldn't haves. That's okay. Just notice that tendency. Notice how quickly the mind wants to fuse the action with a story about your character. And then, gently, guide your attention back to the simple facts. This happened, period. Now, on the other hand, there is the heavy label, the story of what it means about me. This is the interpretation, the judgment, the verdict. Words like bad, broken, selfish, unworthy. Notice how these words feel in your body. They are not neutral like the facts. They carry a charge. They feel heavy, constricting, cold. They feel like a closing down, a final statement. See if you can hold these two things separately in your awareness for a moment. The memory of the action on one side and the feeling of the label on the other. They are not the same thing. One is an event that occurred in time. It is in the past. It is finished. The other is an ongoing thought process happening right now in your mind. One is a historical fact. The other is a present moment interpretation. The action cannot hurt you anymore. It is over. It is the ongoing interpretation, the relentless story you tell yourself about the action, that is causing the pain now. This is a crucial distinction. It is the difference between a scar and the constant act of reopening a wound. The scar is a memory of the past. The reopening is an act of the present. By continuing to fuse the action with your identity, you are, with the best of intentions, unknowingly reopening the wound again and again, hoping that this time the self-punishment will somehow fix it. But it never does. It only deepens the pain. So let's affirm a simple, gentle truth in the quiet of our own hearts. You can repeat it silently to yourself, not as a command, but as a possibility you are willing to consider. My actions are not the sum of who I am. Let that land. Feel the shape of those words. My actions are not the sum of who I am. They are a part of my story, not the entire book. Think of your life as a vast and sprawling library. It contains thousands upon thousands of books, representing every day, every experience, every thought you have ever had. The action that brings you shame is one book in that library. Perhaps it is a very sad and difficult book. You may regret its contents deeply, but it is still only one book among countless others. There are also books of kindness in your library, books of courage, books of laughter, of learning, of trying your best, of getting back up after falling. There are books about the love you have given and the love you have received. There are quiet, unassuming books about simply showing up and getting through a difficult day. To define your entire identity by that one difficult book would be to ignore the vastness of your own library. It would be a profound misreading of your own life. The shame wants you to believe that this one book is the only one that matters. It wants you to stand in front of that one shelf, staring at that one title, and forget that entire wings of the library exist, filled with stories of your resilience, your capacity for love, and your inherent worth. Tonight, we are simply acknowledging that the other books exist. You don't need to read them all right now. You just need to remember that the library is vast. Your life is bigger than your worst mistake. Your identity is more expansive than your deepest regret. Allow a breath to move into the space this realization creates. A space of possibility. A space where you can be both a person who made a mistake and a person who is worthy of love and peace. The two are not mutually exclusive. In fact, they are part of the same human package. To be human is to be imperfect. To be alive is to learn, to grow, and to sometimes get it wrong. By creating this space between action and self, you are not condoning the action. You are not saying it was okay if it caused harm. You are simply stepping out of the role of a harsh judge and into the role of a wise and compassionate witness. A witness understands that context matters. A witness knows that a single action does not define a complex human being. A witness offers the space for healing rather than the constriction of punishment. So rest in this space for a while. The space of, and I did this thing I regret, and I am a person deserving of compassion. The memory brings me pain, and I can find peace in this present moment. Holding both of these truths without contradiction is a sign of deep emotional maturity. It is the beginning of a true and lasting peace. Let your body soften into this possibility. Let the tension in your jaw and shoulders release just a little more. You are not a single, static label. You are a vast, unfolding story. And tonight, you can simply rest in the quiet mystery of all that you are. As we rest in this more spacious awareness, holding the distinction between the action and the self, let's take another gentle step. This is not a step of analysis or judgment, but of deep and compassionate curiosity. We are going to softly shift our focus from the perceived wrongness of the behavior to the unmet need that was crying out at the time. Behind every human action, no matter how messy, confused, or even destructive it may seem, there is a driving force. There is a deep, fundamental human need seeking to be met. The behavior is simply the strategy we use to try and meet that need. Sometimes, especially when we are in pain, exhausted, or lack resources, the strategies we choose are not very skillful. They can be clumsy, They can cause more harm than good, but the need itself is always valid. The need is the innocent, universal part of the equation. So, let's explore this with a tender heart. Thinking back to that time, to that version of you who was there, can you gently ask, what was I needing so desperately in that moment? Don't look for a complicated psychological answer. Look for the simplest, most human truth. Were you needing safety? In a world that felt threatening or chaotic, was the action, in some misguided way, a desperate attempt to feel secure, to build a wall, or to control an outcome? The strategy might have been flawed, but the need for safety is one of the most fundamental needs we have. It is the need of a small child wanting to be held. It is pure and essential. Or perhaps the need was for relief. Were you in a state of overwhelming pain, anxiety, or stress? Was the pressure so immense that you felt you couldn't bear it for another second? The action might have been a panicked attempt to numb out, to escape, or to simply make the pain stop, even for a moment. The desperate search for relief from suffering is not a moral failure. It is a testament to the depth of the pain you were in. Maybe the need was for connection. Were you feeling profoundly lonely, isolated, or unseen? Was the action a distorted cry to be noticed, to matter to someone, or to feel a sense of belonging, even if it was a fleeting or unhealthy connection? The need to belong, to be seen and valued by others, is woven into our very DNA. It is what allows us to thrive. To seek it is as natural as seeking air or water. Or could the need have been for peace? Were you living in a state of constant inner or outer conflict? Was there so much noise, so much turmoil, that the action felt like the only way to get a moment of quiet, a ceasefire in a long and exhausting war? The yearning for peace, for stillness, for a simple cessation of hostility is a sacred longing of the human soul. There are other fundamental needs too. The need for autonomy and choice, the need for meaning, the need for rest, the need to be accepted for who we are. See if you can identify the deep, tender, innocent need that was alive in you at that time. Look beneath the surface of the action. Look past the judgment and the shame. Find the soft, vulnerable core, the universal human heart that was simply trying to take care of itself in the only way it knew how. When you can connect with the underlying need, something remarkable happens. The entire story begins to shift. You start to see the situation not as a story of your badness, but as a story of your struggle. You see that younger version of yourself, not as a villain, but as someone who was in pain and trying their best to cope with limited tools. You begin to feel a flicker of compassion where before there was only harsh judgment. It is the difference between looking at a child who is screaming and thinking, "What a bad, noisy child," and looking at the same child and wondering, what is hurting them? What do they need? The second question opens the door to kindness, to understanding, to help. The first question only leads to condemnation and separation. We are learning to ask that second question of ourselves. What was hurting in me? What did I need so badly? By seeing the behavior as a strategy, perhaps a messy one, an unskillful one, a regrettable one, to meet a vital need, you depersonalize the shame. It is no longer about you being fundamentally flawed. It's about being a human being with deep needs, who, in a moment of great difficulty, used a poor strategy to try and meet them. This reframing does not excuse any harm that was caused. accountability and regret can still be present. But it allows these feelings to be held in a container of compassion rather than one of toxic shame. It allows for learning and growth. Shame says, "I am a mistake." This gentle inquiry says, "I made a mistake because I was hurting and didn't know a better way to meet my needs." The first statement is a dead end. The second is a doorway to healing and wisdom. So allow yourself to feel this shift in your body as you connect with the innocence of the underlying need for safety, for relief, for connection, for peace. Feel if there is a softening anywhere, a little less tension in the chest, a little more warmth in the belly. You are moving from the cold, hard courtroom of judgment into the warm, gentle space of understanding. You are beginning to see yourself with the eyes of wisdom, and from this place, a new possibility emerges. You can begin to offer that younger you the very thing they needed but did not know how to find. You can offer yourself the feeling of safety right here in the comfort of your bed. You can offer yourself the relief of a deep, calming breath. You can offer yourself the connection of your own compassionate presence. You can offer yourself the peace of this quiet, present moment. You are learning to meet your own needs in a way that is healing, not harmful. And that is the foundation of true and lasting change. Rest in this understanding. Let it be a gentle medicine for your heart. The need was real. The need was valid. And you are worthy of having your needs met with wisdom and with kindness. Holding this compassionate awareness of the unmet need, let's now gently widen the lens even further. Let's look at the choice, the action, not as an isolated event suspended in a vacuum, but as something that happened within the full, rich, and complex context of your life at that moment. Our memory, especially when it is colored by shame, has a tendency to flatten the past. It remembers the mistake in stark, unforgiving black and white, cutting it out from the backdrop of our life and holding it up for scrutiny. But no choice is ever made in a vacuum. It is always the product of 1,000 different threads weaving together. Your history, your emotional resources at the time, the state of your nervous system, your physical health, the pressures you were under, and the beliefs you held to be true. Let's just softly, without judgment, consider some of these threads. Think about your history leading up to that point. What had you been through in the weeks, months, or even years before? Were you carrying unresolved grief? Had you experienced recent losses or disappointments? Were you navigating old family patterns or relational dynamics that kept you feeling small or unsafe? Our past travels with us. It shapes our perceptions and limits our available choices in ways we are often not even conscious of. An action that seems irrational in hindsight might make a painful kind of sense when seen as the culmination of a long and difficult history. Now, consider your emotional resources at that specific time. How full was your well? Were you running on empty? Were you emotionally exhausted, burnt out from stress, worry, or chronic anxiety? When our emotional resources are depleted, our capacity for wise, patient, and thoughtful action is dramatically reduced. We are far more likely to be reactive, impulsive, and to fall back on old, unhelpful coping mechanisms. It's like trying to run a marathon when you haven't eaten or slept for 3 days. You simply don't have the fuel to perform at your best. Perhaps, at that time, you were doing the emotional equivalent of this, running a marathon on an empty tank. You didn't have the inner reserves to respond differently. And what about the state of your nervous system? This is so profoundly important. Was your nervous system in a state of high alert, in a fight, flight, or freeze response? When we are in a state of perceived threat, the thinking, rational part of our brain, the prefrontal cortex, partially goes offline. We are literally not thinking clearly. Our bodies are being run by the older, more primitive parts of the brain dedicated solely to survival. In this state, our actions are driven by instinct and panic, not by our values or our better judgment. We do what we have to do to feel safe, to survive the moment. It is very possible that the choice you regret so deeply was made from this state of profound nervous system dysregulation. It wasn't a failure of character, it was a function of biology. It was your system, in its own primal wisdom, trying to protect you from a perceived threat, even if that threat was emotional rather than physical. Expanding the lens to include these factors is not about making excuses. It's about seeking a truer, more complete understanding. It is about moving from a simplistic story of "I was bad" to a more nuanced and compassionate story of "I was a human being in a difficult situation with a specific history and limited resources, doing the best I could." This more complete story has the ring of truth to it, doesn't it? It feels more honest, more real than the flat, one-dimensional verdict of shame. So let's hold this gentle affirmation in our hearts for a moment. Let the words settle and find a place to rest inside you. I was doing the very best I could with the awareness, resources, and capacity I had at that time. Breathe with that for a moment. I was doing the very best I could with the awareness I had at that time. You didn't know then what you know now. Your perspective has grown. Your wisdom has deepened through this very experience. To judge your past self by your present-day standards is unfair and unkind. It's like scolding a child for not knowing how to do calculus. They simply hadn't learned it yet. You were working with the knowledge you had, with the resources I had at that time. Your inner well may have been dry. Your emotional and physical energy may have been completely depleted. You were working with what was available inside you in that moment, or with the capacity I had at that time. Your nervous system, your mind, your heart, they all have a finite capacity to handle stress and pain. You may have been stretched far beyond that capacity. You were doing your best, given the internal state you were in. Letting this truth sink in can bring a profound sense of relief. It's a deep, internal exhale. It releases you from the impossible standard of perfection. It allows you to be human. It allows your past to be what it was, without it having to be a constant indictment of who you are now. When you see the full context, compassion naturally arises. You see that younger you, struggling, overwhelmed, running on empty, and acting from a place of fear or pain, and your heart can't help but soften. You see their humanity. You see your own humanity. From this wider, wiser perspective, the sharp, jagged edges of the memory begin to soften. The story loses its power to define you. It becomes just one part of a much larger, more intricate, and ultimately more compassionate narrative of your life. As you lie here, feel the support of the bed beneath you. It holds your whole body, not just one part. It supports you without condition. Let this be a metaphor for how you can learn to hold your own story. You can hold all of it, the parts you are proud of and the parts you regret, in a vast, unconditional, and compassionate awareness. You can see the whole picture. And in seeing the whole picture, you can finally find peace. There is nothing to fix, nothing to solve. There is only a story to be understood with kindness, a past to be held with grace, and a present moment in which you can choose to rest. As you rest in this wider, more compassionate understanding of the past, let's now do something very gentle and very healing. We are going to take an imaginary journey, a journey back in time, not to relive the pain, but to offer a gift. We are going to meet the version of you who was there in that difficult time and offer them the kindness and wisdom that you possess now. This is not about changing what happened. The past is the past. This is about changing your relationship to the past by bringing the healing power of your present moment compassion to a part of yourself that has been frozen in time, suffering alone in the dark. So, get comfortable. Settle even more deeply into the support of your bed. Let your breath be slow and easy. And in your mind's eye, allow an image of that younger you to gently form. Don't force it. Just invite them to appear. See them in that time and place. See the room they were in, the clothes they were wearing. See their posture, the look in their eyes. For a moment, just observe them from a safe and loving distance. This is the you who made that choice. This is the you who has been carrying the burden of the shame for so long. But now, you are going to look at them not with the eyes of a judge, but with the wise, kind eyes you have today. The eyes that have lived and learned and grown. The eyes that understand context. The eyes that know about unmet needs and depleted resources. What do you see when you look at them through these new eyes? Look past the action. Look into their heart. See their exhaustion. Perhaps you can see the deep weariness in their bones, the result of trying so hard for so long. See the fear that may have been driving them, the quiet panic behind their eyes, the feeling of being trapped or overwhelmed. See their pain, the ache of loneliness, the sting of grief, or the raw wound of not feeling good enough. See their confusion. Perhaps they were lost, grasping for any solution, any way out of an impossible situation. See them not as a perpetrator of a wrong, but as a person who was suffering, a person who was struggling, a person who was doing the absolute best they could with what they had. As you look at them this way, feel the natural wellspring of compassion that arises in your heart. Let it be a gentle warmth that spreads through your chest. This is your own innate capacity for kindness, turning inward. Now, when you feel ready, imagine your present-day self, the wise and compassionate you, gently entering that scene. You are not there to scold them, to lecture them, or to tell them what they should have done differently. You are there simply to be a presence of unconditional love and safety. Perhaps you just sit with them in silence for a moment, letting your calm, steady presence be a comfort. Let them feel, maybe for the first time, that they are not alone in their struggle. You are with them. You have not abandoned them. Maybe you gently place a hand on their shoulder or on their back. Let them feel the warmth, the reassurance, the message that says, I am here. You are not alone. I've got you. What does this younger self need to hear? Not a lecture, but a deep, heartfelt reassurance. Perhaps you can whisper to them silently, from your heart to theirs. You might say something like, I know you are so tired. I know how much you're hurting. Or, I see how scared you are. It's going to be okay. We're going to get through this. Or simply, I'm here now, You don't have to carry this all by yourself anymore. Find the words that your own heart knows this younger you has been longing to hear. The words of understanding, the words of acceptance, the words of safety that they so desperately needed but did not have at the time. You are giving them now what was missing then. Imagine them receiving these words, this presence. Imagine a flicker of relief in their eyes. Imagine the tense, guarded muscles in their shoulders beginning to soften just a little. They are finally being seen, not for their mistake, but for their struggle. They are finally being met with kindness instead of judgment. This is a profound act of healing. It is called reparenting. You are becoming the wise, loving parent to the wounded inner child or the struggling younger self that you needed all along. You are mending a wound at its source. You are not erasing the memory. You are infusing it with compassion. You are changing the emotional charge of the past. Spend as long as you like in this inner sanctuary, offering this simple gift of presence and kindness. There is no rush. Let this younger you soak in the feeling of being cared for, of being understood. This part of you has been waiting a very long time for this. Before you leave this inner space, perhaps there is a final gesture of love. You might imagine giving this younger you a hug, holding them in your arms and letting them feel completely safe and protected. Or you might imagine them becoming very small, and you gently place them inside your own heart, where you can carry them and keep them safe from now on. You are integrating this lost part of yourself back into the wholeness of who you are. You are bringing them home. As this inner journey comes to a close, gently bring your awareness back to your body, here and now, resting in your bed. Feel the blankets, the pillow, the solidness beneath you. Take a deep, slow breath. Notice how you feel. There may be a sense of peace, of softness, of quiet release. You have just performed a sacred act of self-love. You have reclaimed a lost piece of yourself. You have shown yourself that you are worthy of your own compassion. And in doing so, you have rewritten the ending of that old, painful story. It is no longer a story of shame. It is a story of healing. It is a story of coming home to yourself. Rest in that feeling now. Let it permeate every cell of your body as you drift towards sleep. You are whole, you are safe, and you are held in your own loving care. As you rest in the warmth of this self-compassion, having met that younger part of yourself with such kindness, we can now bring this gentle clarity to the feelings that remain. It's important to make a distinction between two powerful emotions that are often confused: regret and shame. They can feel similar at first, both involving a painful reflection on the past, but they are fundamentally different in their nature and their effect on us. One is a quiet, helpful teacher that guides us toward growth, while the other is a harsh, toxic critic that keeps us paralyzed and stuck. Let's start with regret. Healthy regret is the feeling that arises when we look back at a past action and think, I wish I had done that differently. Given what I know now, I would make a different choice. Regret is focused on the behavior. It is an acknowledgement that our actions were out of alignment with our own values. There is a sadness to it, a clear-sighted recognition of a mistake or of harm caused. But this sadness has a purpose. Regret is forward-looking. Its energy is about learning, about integrating the lesson so that we can do better in the future. It motivates us to repair harm if possible, to apologize, to change our behavior. Healthy regret says, I did something bad. Now, let's look at toxic shame. Shame, in its toxic form, is not focused on the behavior. It is focused on the self. It takes the acknowledgement of a mistake and turns it into a global verdict on our entire character. Shame doesn't say, I did something bad. It says, I am bad. It doesn't say, I made a mistake. It says, I am a mistake. Can you feel the profound difference? Shame is backward-looking and paralyzing. It doesn't inspire growth. It inspires hiding. It makes us want to shrink, to disappear, to become invisible, because we believe our very essence is flawed and unworthy of being seen. Shame whispers that we are uniquely broken, that we are beyond repair, and that we deserve to be isolated and punished. It offers no path forward, only a life sentence in the prison of our own self-condemnation. We can even feel this difference in our bodies. Take a moment and just notice. When you connect with the feeling of healthy regret, what does it feel like physically? For many, regret has a kind of warmth to it, a softness. It might feel like a gentle ache in the heart, a quiet sincerity. It's a feeling that can coexist with self-compassion. It feels clean, honest. There's a humility to it. The body might feel open, even with the sadness, as if it's ready to learn, ready to move forward. Now, contrast this with the physical sensation of toxic shame. When you touch into that feeling, what happens in your body? For most people, shame feels cold. It's constricting. It feels like a tightening in the throat, a clenching in the stomach, a desire to curl up into a ball. The shoulders might slump forward, the head might hang down. It's a physical posture of defeat and hiding. The breath becomes shallow. The body feels heavy, drained of energy. Shame is a state of collapse, a full body experience of feeling wrong. By learning to feel this difference in your body, you can begin to untangle these two powerful emotions. When that wave of painful feeling about the past comes over you, you can pause, take a breath, and ask, what am I feeling in my body right now? Is this the warm, clarifying ache of regret, which is here to teach me? Or is this the cold, paralyzing grip of shame, which is here to punish me? If it is regret, you can honor it. You can listen to its wisdom. You can say, thank you for this lesson. I will carry it with me. I am committed to doing better. You can hold the sadness of it with great tenderness, knowing that it is a sign of your own goodness, your own conscience, your own desire to live in alignment with your values. To feel regret is a beautiful, painful, and necessary part of being a conscious human being. But if you recognize the cold grip of shame, you can learn to relate to it differently. You can see it for what it is, an old conditioned pattern, a toxic critic, a story that is not the truth of who you are. You do not have to believe it. You can say, shame is here. I feel that cold, tight feeling. This is a familiar visitor, but I know it is not telling the whole truth about me. You can then give yourself permission to let go of the shame while honoring any lessons from the regret. This is a crucial act of self-love. It is saying, I am willing to learn from my past, but I am no longer willing to be defined and punished by it. You can keep the wisdom and release the poison. Imagine regret as a precious pearl. To get to it, you may have had to open a rough, jagged oyster shell. That's the initial pain of looking at the mistake. But the shell itself is not the pearl. The toxic shame is the shell. It's the protective, but ultimately useless and painful casing. The pearl is the lesson, the wisdom, the deeper understanding of yourself and others. you can learn to carefully extract the pearl of regret and let the empty, sharp-edged shell of shame fall away. So as you lie here, drifting, allow yourself this grace. Give yourself permission to feel the clean, honest sadness of regret if it is there. Hold it with respect. It is a sign of your heart's integrity. And at the same time, give yourself permission to release the crushing, life-denying weight of shame. It has served no purpose other than to keep you small and in pain. It is not your teacher. It is not your truth. It is just an old, heavy story, and you are finally learning to set it down. With each exhale, imagine you are releasing that cold, constricting energy. And with each inhale, imagine you are drawing in the warmth of self-compassion and the clear, quiet wisdom of your own heart. You are learning to distinguish the teacher from the tormentor. And in that distinction, you are finding your way back to a place of peace. Having distinguished the wisdom of regret from the poison of shame, we now arrive at a pivotal moment, a moment of release, a conscious and deliberate choice to end the relentless self-judgment that has kept you captive. For so long, a part of your mind has been set up as a courtroom. In this courtroom, you have been forced to play every role. You are the defendant, endlessly accused. You are the prosecutor, tirelessly presenting evidence of your own unworthiness. You are the jury, always delivering a guilty verdict. And, most exhaustingly of all, you are the judge, repeatedly banging the gavel and handing down the same harsh sentence, a lifetime of feeling fundamentally flawed. This inner trial is exhausting. It consumes vast amounts of your life force, your precious energy, your capacity for joy and peace. It is a war waged against yourself, a war that can never, ever be won. The only way to find peace is to walk out of the courtroom. The only way to end the war is to lay down your weapons. So, tonight, right here in the safety and quiet of your bed, we are going to create a small, simple ceremony, a symbolic moment of release. We are going to lay down the gavel. Let this image form in your mind. See that courtroom. It might be dark and paneled with heavy wood. It might feel cold and imposing. See yourself sitting on the judge's bench, wearing the heavy black robes of condemnation, and in your hand, feel the weight of a wooden gavel. This gavel represents your power to judge yourself, a power you have wielded with such severity for so long. Feel its solidness, its weight. Acknowledge the role it has played. Perhaps in a strange way, it felt like the right thing to do. That by judging yourself so harshly, you were somehow atoning for your mistakes, or keeping yourself in line, or preventing yourself from ever messing up again. Acknowledge this misguided intention with a kind of sad understanding. You were only trying to find a way to manage your pain and your fear. But now you know there is a better way, a way of compassion, a way of wisdom, a way of healing. And so, with a deep breath in, you make a conscious decision. It is time to end this trial. It is time to set yourself free. And with a long, slow exhale, you imagine yourself deliberately, mindfully, placing the gavel down on the bench in front of you. Hear the soft, solid sound it makes as it comes to rest. It is a sound of finality, a sound of release, the sound of a long battle coming to an end. Feel the immediate lightness in your hand, now that it is no longer gripping that heavy instrument of judgment. Feel the weight lifting from your shoulders as you symbolically take off the heavy black robes. Underneath, you are just you, a human being, imperfect and learning and worthy of peace. As you place the gavel down, You can offer yourself a silent affirmation, a declaration of your own freedom. Let these words resonate in the quiet of your mind. I release myself from the role of judge and jury. Let the truth of that statement sink in. You are abdicating the position. You are resigning from the job of tormenting yourself. It is not your job anymore. I release myself from the need to punish myself for the past. Punishment does not heal. It only creates more pain. You are choosing the path of healing instead. I am free to be a learner in this life, not a criminal on trial. This is a profound shift. A learner is allowed to make mistakes. In fact, mistakes are an essential part of the learning process. A learner is met with curiosity, with encouragement, with guidance. You are stepping out of the role of the convict and into the role of the student, and life itself is your classroom. Now, in your mind's eye, see yourself stepping down from the judge's bench. You walk across the empty courtroom, your footsteps echoing softly. You walk past the prosecutor's table, past the jury box, past the defendant's chair. You are leaving all of those roles behind. You reach the large, heavy doors at the back of the courtroom. As you place your hand on the handle, you take one last look back. You see the empty room, the gavel resting silently on the bench, and you feel not sadness, but a deep and profound sense of peace. You have done your time. The sentence is over, and now you are free to go. You open the doors and you step out. And where do you step out into? Not into chaos, not into a world where you are allowed to be careless or cause harm. No. You step out into the gentle, quiet night. You step out into the present moment. You step out into the rest of your life, a life where you are guided not by a harsh inner critic, but by the quiet, steady wisdom of your own compassionate heart. Feel this transition in your body. Feel the release of a long-held tension. It might be a softening in your belly, a release in your jaw, a deepening of your breath. You are letting go of the exhausting work of self-judgment. You are allowing yourself to simply be here, to be at peace. This symbolic act is not a one-time cure. The inner critic may try to pick up the gavel again tomorrow. The old habit of judgment is strong. But now you know the way out. You have the key. Every time you notice the inner trial starting up, you can gently and firmly remember this moment. You can remember the feeling of laying the gavel down, and you can choose, again and again, to step out of the courtroom and into the peace of the present moment. You can choose to be a learner. You can choose to be free. So for now, just rest in this freedom. Rest in the quiet after the verdict. The trial is over. The case is dismissed. There is nothing more to argue, nothing more to defend. There is only this moment, this breath, this body, resting safely in this bed. You have laid down your burden, and now you can rest. Truly rest, deeply, peacefully. Having laid down the gavel and stepped out of the inner courtroom, a new space opens up. A space free from the harsh glare of judgment, illuminated instead by the soft light of understanding. And in this space, we can look back at that difficult time, at that coping mechanism or choice, and see it in an entirely new way. We can begin to reframe it, not as an act of failure or badness, but as an act of survival. No matter how messy, how regrettable, or how much pain it caused, that behavior, at its deepest level, was an attempt by your system to get through an overwhelming experience. It was the best strategy your psyche could come up with in that moment to protect you, to manage unbearable feelings, or to simply endure. Your system, in its own primal and often clumsy wisdom, did what it thought it needed to do to help you survive. It might have been a poor strategy in the long run. It might have created more problems than it solved. But in that moment, from the limited perspective of a nervous system in distress, it seemed like the only option. Let's think about this. Survival takes many forms. Sometimes it looks like fighting back. Sometimes it looks like running away. But very often, survival looks like shutting down, numbing out, making a choice that offers a moment of relief, even at a great cost, or acting out in a way that pushes away a perceived threat. These are not character flaws. They are biological imperatives. They are the tools our ancient nervous systems have been using for millions of years to navigate danger. Your system was simply using the tools it had. It reached into its toolbox, and in a moment of panic and depletion, it grabbed the quickest, most familiar tool it could find, not necessarily the most effective or elegant one. It was just trying to keep your head above water. It was trying to get you to the next minute, the next hour, the next day. And it worked. The proof that it worked is that you are here, tonight, resting in this bed, breathing. You made it through. You survived that time. It takes an incredible amount of strength to get through periods of intense pain, confusion, or fear. We often reserve the word strength for heroic, triumphant moments. But there is a quieter, fiercer kind of strength that is required just to endure. The strength to keep breathing when your heart is broken. The strength to get out of bed when a heavy depression is pulling you down. The strength to keep functioning when your inner world is in turmoil. You possess that strength. That younger version of you, the one you've been judging so harshly, was incredibly resilient. They were a survivor. They navigated an impossible landscape and found a way through, using the only map they had. Instead of judging them for the path they took, can you, for a moment, simply honor the fact that they completed the journey? Can you acknowledge the sheer tenacity it took to keep going? Let's take this a step further. Can you actually thank your system? This might feel strange at first, but it is a profoundly healing practice. You can place a hand gently on your heart or your belly, and you can offer a silent, sincere thank you to your own body, your own mind, your own psyche. Thank you for getting me through that. I know you were doing the best you could. Thank you for finding a way to survive. This act of gratitude changes your inner landscape completely. It transforms an adversarial relationship with yourself into an alliance. You stop seeing parts of yourself as enemies to be conquered and start seeing them as loyal, if sometimes misguided, protectors. You are acknowledging the positive intention that lay beneath even the most regrettable behavior. Imagine your mind and body as a loyal but sometimes overzealous guard dog. During that difficult time, the dog perceived a major threat. It started barking ferociously. Maybe it chewed up the furniture or dug holes in the yard. It made a huge mess. For years, you have been punishing the dog for making a mess, for being bad. But now, you are realizing that the dog wasn't being bad. It was trying to protect the house. It was trying to protect you. Its methods were chaotic, but its intention was one of loyalty and protection. When you see it this way, you don't punish the dog. You kneel down, you speak to it in a calm voice, and you say, "Thank you for trying to protect me. I see you. I'm safe now. You can rest." This is what we are doing for our own systems. We are acknowledging their protective intent, and we are letting them know that the danger has passed. We are safe now. They can stand down. They can rest. This perspective does not erase the consequences of our actions. It does not mean we don't need to make amends if others were harmed, but it allows us to do so from a place of wholeness and self-respect, rather than from a place of self-loathing. It allows us to move forward with wisdom and compassion for ourselves and for others. So feel into this new story. Let it settle in your body. The story is not I am bad. The story is I am a survivor. I am resilient. My system is wired for protection, and I am learning to work with it, to guide it with wisdom and kindness. This is a story of strength. It's a story that honors the totality of your experience, the pain, the struggle, and the incredible, tenacious life force that carried you through. Let your whole body soften in the light of this new understanding. Let every muscle, every cell, absorb this truth. You are a survivor. The very act that caused you so much shame was, on some deep level, a testament to your will to live, to endure, to find a way forward. Honor that, respect that, and let that deep, powerful, resilient part of you be the foundation upon which you now rest, safely, peacefully, and with a newfound sense of gratitude for the incredible system that has kept you alive and brought you all the way to this healing moment right now. Resting in this profound acknowledgement of your own resilience, your own strength as a survivor, we can now begin the gentle creative work of weaving a new story. A story that is truer, kinder, and more whole than the one you have been living inside. The old story was simple, brutal, and absolute. It was a story of brokenness. It defined you by your lowest moment, by your biggest mistake. It was a story written in the stark, unforgiving ink of shame. But we have seen now that this story is incomplete. It leaves out so much. It leaves out the context, the unmet needs, the exhaustion, the fear. It leaves out the incredible, tenacious will to survive. It is a caricature, not a portrait. A true story, a story that can hold the complexity of a human life, must be bigger. It must have room for all of it. This new, more compassionate narrative doesn't erase the parts you regret. It doesn't pretend the mistakes didn't happen. A story with no shadows is not a true story. Instead, it weaves those difficult moments into a larger tapestry. A tapestry that also includes your resilience, your capacity for love, your courage, your kindness, your ability to learn and to grow. Think of the Japanese art of kintsugi. When a piece of pottery breaks, the artisans don't throw it away. They meticulously piece it back together, and they mend the cracks with a lacquer mixed with powdered gold. The result is a bowl that is not only restored, but is considered even more beautiful and more valuable than it was before it was broken. The lines of gold tell a story. They speak of a history, of fragility, of being shattered, but also of being repaired, of being held together with care. The breakage and the repair become a central, beautiful part of the object's identity. The bowl is not beautiful despite its cracks. It is beautiful because of them. This is a powerful metaphor for our own lives. The old story of shame tells you that your cracks, your mistakes, your broken places make you worthless. It tells you to hide them, to be ashamed of them. But the kintsugi story, the truer story, says that these very places, when mended with the gold of self-awareness and self-compassion, become the sources of your greatest beauty, your greatest strength, your deepest wisdom. Your imperfections are not a sign of your failure. They are the shimmering lines that tell the story of your resilience. They are proof that you have lived, that you have been tested, and that you have found a way to heal. So, what does your kintsugi story sound like? We can begin to outline it right now, in the quiet of this space. It's a story that might start something like this. I am a person who has been through difficult things, and in one of the most difficult times, when I was scared and exhausted and didn't know a better way, I made a choice that I deeply regret. That choice is a part of my story. It is a crack in my bowl. But the story doesn't end there. That is only the first chapter. The story continues. But I'm also a person who survived that time. I found a way to keep going. I have learned so much from that experience. I have learned about my own needs, my own vulnerabilities, my own triggers. This pain has been a profound teacher, and it has opened my heart in ways I never expected. The compassion I am learning to show myself, I can now offer more freely to others. My understanding of the human condition is deeper now. That crack has been mended with the gold of wisdom and empathy. And the story continues still. And that crack is not the only thing that defines me. My bowl is also decorated with patterns of kindness I have shown. It holds the memory of love I have given and received. It is shaped by my curiosity, my creativity, and my capacity for joy. It is a strong and useful bowl, capable of holding so much. It is not perfect, but it is whole. And it is beautiful, not in spite of its history, but because of it. Can you feel the difference? Can you feel the spaciousness and the truth in this kind of story? It is honest. It is compassionate. It is whole. This is the story you deserve to live inside. It is your birthright to see yourself in this full and loving light. Weaving this new story is not a one-time event. It is a practice. It is the practice of consciously and repeatedly choosing to see yourself through the eyes of compassion rather than judgment. Every time the old story of "I am broken" arises, you can gently interrupt it. You can acknowledge it. There is the old story again. And then you can consciously replace it with your truer, kinder kintsugi story. You can remind yourself, my cracks are mended with gold. My history has made me stronger and more compassionate. Over time, as you practice this, the neural pathways in your brain will begin to change. The old, well-worn path of shame will start to grow over with disuse, and the new path of self-compassion will become wider, smoother, and more automatic. You are actively retraining your mind to tell you a story that heals rather than one that harms. So, as you drift toward sleep, let this new story be the last thing you hold in your awareness. Let the image of a beautiful kintsugi bowl be a symbol for your own life. See the shimmering lines of gold that trace the path of your healing. Know that your story is one of resilience. You are not a broken thing to be discarded. You are a precious, unique, and beautiful work of art, made all the more profound by the journey you have traveled. Rest in the truth of this new story. Let it hold you, comfort you, and carry you into a deep and peaceful sleep. You are whole. You are worthy. And your story is a beautiful one. As this truer, kinder story begins to take root in your heart, we arrive at the gentle path of self-forgiveness. This can be a loaded word for many people. It can feel like an impossible task, a mountain too high to climb. We often think of forgiveness as a single, monumental decision, a switch we are supposed to flip from unforgiven to forgiven. And when we can't seem to find that switch, we feel like we have failed yet again, which only adds another layer of shame. So tonight, let's release that pressure. Let's redefine self-forgiveness. Let's see it not as a one-time decision, but as a gentle, ongoing practice. It is not an event. It is a process. It is not about condoning the past or saying that what happened was okay. It is about releasing yourself from the burden of carrying it as a weapon against yourself day after day. Self-forgiveness, in its essence, is the practice of repeatedly choosing compassion over condemnation. It is the practice of coming home to yourself again and again, no matter how many times you have strayed into the cold land of self-judgment. Think of it like tending a garden. You wouldn't go out one day, pull all the weeds, and then declare the garden weeded for all time. You know that new weeds will inevitably sprout. Tending the garden is a continuous, patient process of noticing the new weeds as they appear and gently removing them again and again, season after season. It is a practice of care. Self-forgiveness is like this. The weeds of self-criticism, shame, and judgment will sprout again. They are old, hardy habits of the mind. The practice is not to get angry at the weeds or to feel like a failure because they are there. The practice is to simply notice them when they arise. A weed of self-judgment. And then to gently, without violence, pull it out and return the soil to a state of compassion. It is a quiet, steady, daily act of tending to your own inner landscape. So, for tonight, we are not going to try to forgive ourselves for all of time. The goal is much smaller, much more attainable. The goal is to simply plant a seed, a single tiny seed of willingness, a willingness to see yourself with kindness, even if just for this moment, right now, as you lie here in your bed. You don't have to feel fully forgiven. You don't have to believe you are worthy of forgiveness. You only need to be willing to be willing. Can you find within you just a tiny spark of that? A willingness to let go of the struggle just for tonight. A willingness to allow yourself a moment of peace, even if you don't feel you've earned it. That small seed of willingness is all that is required. It is incredibly powerful. It is the beginning of everything. You can plant this seed with a simple, gentle affirmation. Let these words be a soft mantra that you can rest in as you drift. I am worthy of my own compassion. Let the words wash over you. Don't analyze them. Don't argue with them. Just let them be there. Notice if a part of you resists them. The old critic might say, "No, you're not." That's okay. Just notice that voice, that old weed, with a kind of gentle detachment. You don't have to engage with it. You can simply let it be a background noise, and you can gently return your focus to the seed you are planting. I am worthy of my own compassion. This is a fundamental truth. Your worthiness is not conditional. It does not depend on your behavior. It is not something you earn through perfection or lose through mistakes. It is inherent. It is the simple, undeniable fact of your being alive, of your being a part of this universe. Just as a tree is worthy of sunlight and a river is worthy of flowing to the sea, you are worthy of your own compassion. It is your nature. And let's add another layer to this gentle practice. I am worthy of peace. Feel what happens in your body when you allow that thought. Peace is not a reward for good behavior. It is a sanctuary that is always available. You have a right to rest. You have a right to lay down your arms and cease the inner battle. Forgiving yourself is the ultimate act of making peace. It is declaring a ceasefire in the long war against yourself. You are choosing to lay down your arms, not because you have won, but because you are tired of fighting. You are choosing peace for the sake of peace itself. You are choosing to believe that your well-being in this present moment is more important than your punishment for the past. This is a radical act of love. So, as you lie here, imagine you are holding that tiny seed of willingness in the palm of your hand. See it glowing with a soft, warm light. And with a gentle breath, you plant it in the fertile soil of your heart. You don't need to force it to grow. You don't need to check on it every 5 minutes. You simply plant it, and you trust that the warmth of your own compassion, the gentle rain of your own tears, and the light of your own awareness will be enough to help it sprout in its own time. The practice is simply to create the conditions for forgiveness to arise naturally. By laying down the gavel, by honoring your survival, by telling a kinder story. And now, by planting this seed of willingness, you have been creating those conditions. You have been preparing the soil. You have been tending your own heart with extraordinary care, and that is enough. For tonight, this is more than enough. Simply rest with the feeling of that seed, safe and warm in the soil of your heart. Rest in the willingness to be kind to yourself. Rest in the possibility of peace. There is nothing else to do. You have done the work. Now, you can allow the gentle, mysterious process of healing to unfold, all on its own, as you drift into a deep and well-deserved sleep. Now, as we near the shores of sleep, it is time to let go of all the active work of this meditation. We have journeyed through some deep and tender landscapes tonight. We have named the heavy story. We have created space. We have explored the context and the unmet needs. We have met our younger self with kindness, laid down the gavel of judgment, and planted a seed of self-forgiveness. You have done beautiful, courageous work. And now, the time for doing is over. The time for simply being has arrived. This is a crucial part of the process. Healing doesn't just happen when we are actively engaged in it. It deepens and integrates when we rest, when we allow, when we create space for the shifts to settle into our bones, into our very cells. It is like working in a garden. After you have prepared the soil and planted the seeds, you don't keep digging and turning the earth. You step back. You let the sun and the rain and the quiet mystery of life do their work. This is that moment. We are stepping back and allowing. Let go of the focus. Let go of the effort. Let go of the intention to figure anything out or to feel a certain way. Let your mind become soft, open, and unfocused. Whatever space has been created within you tonight, however small or large it may feel, simply rest in it. Don't try to analyze it or hold on to it. Just let it be. It might feel like a quiet stillness in your chest, a subtle warmth in your belly, a sense of lightness in your limbs. Or it may simply be the absence of that sharp, constricting feeling of shame. Whatever it is, just notice it. Allow it. Inhabit it gently, like sinking into a warm bath. This is the feeling of acceptance, a deep, somatic feeling of allowing yourself to be exactly as you are tonight, not the idealized, healed version of you, not the version who never makes mistakes. Just this you, the you who is tired, the you who is still learning, the you who is perfectly, beautifully, humanly imperfect. Can you allow yourself to be just that without any demand that you be different? This is a radical act of peace. For so much of our lives, we are subtly at war with ourselves, living with a constant low-grade sense of dissatisfaction, a feeling that we need to be fixed, improved, or optimized. We are a project that is never finished, and it is exhausting. Tonight, you can declare the project complete, at least for now. You can hang a sign on the door of your being that says, "Closed for the night. No more renovations needed today." You can release the need to fix or solve anything more. The story of your shame, the quest for forgiveness, the work of healing, you can gently place all of it aside. You can let it rest, just as you are letting your body rest. The problems, if they are still there, will be there in the morning, and you will meet them with more resources, more clarity, and more compassion after a night of deep, unconditional rest. But for now, their time is done. The mind's work for the day is complete. Let your awareness settle entirely on the physical sensations of this moment. Feel the profound simplicity of just being in a body, in a bed, in a quiet room at night. Feel the gentle weight of the blanket on you, a constant, reassuring pressure that says, you are safe, you are held. Feel the texture of the pillow beneath your head, supporting the gentle curve of your neck. Feel the places where your body is warm and the places where it might be a little cooler. There is so much simple, peaceful reality right here in these physical sensations, a reality that is completely free from the complex dramas of the mind. You can take refuge in this simplicity. Let the tangible world of your body be your anchor. The story of who you are is just a thought. The feeling of the breath moving in your chest is a reality. Rest in what is real. With each exhale, imagine you are sinking a little more deeply into this state of simple being. You are not a problem to be solved. You are not a story to be endlessly rewritten. You are a living, breathing being who is worthy of rest. That is the deepest truth. Allow yourself to marinate in this state of wholeness. Wholeness does not mean perfection. Wholeness means that nothing is left out. It means that your light and your shadow, your strengths and your vulnerabilities, your past and your present are all held together in a vast, loving awareness. You are already whole. You have never been anything but whole. The only thing that was ever broken was the story you were telling yourself. Tonight, you have laid that broken story down, and in its place, you are finding the simple, unbreakable wholeness that has been here all along. Let this feeling of acceptance be the lullaby that carries you into sleep. There is no one to impress, no standard to meet, no judgment to fear. Here, in the sanctuary of your own being, you are completely and utterly accepted. You belong here. You are home. So let go of the last remnants of doing. Let go of trying to meditate, trying to relax, trying to fall asleep. Release it all. Simply allow yourself to be breathed. Allow yourself to be held. Allow yourself to be. The night will take care of the rest. There is a deep intelligence in your body and in the universe that knows how to heal, how to restore, how to bring peace. All you have to do is get out of the way. All you have to do is allow and rest. As you rest in this deep, quiet state of allowing, let's embark on one final gentle journey before sleep takes you completely. A slow, loving scan of the body, inviting every muscle, every cell to soften into the support beneath you. There is no need for intense focus here. This is a soft, drifting awareness, like moonlight moving slowly across the floor. Let it be effortless. Let your attention move like a gentle tide, washing away the last remnants of holding. Begin with your feet. Bring a soft awareness to your toes, the soles of your feet, your heels, and your ankles. Your feet have carried you through so much. They have walked difficult paths. Tonight, their work is done. Offer them a silent thank you and invite them to release completely. Feel them becoming heavy, warm, and utterly still. Let go of all the tension they might be holding. Let them be completely supported by the bed. Now, allow this gentle wave of softness to drift up into your lower legs, your calves, and your shins. Let the muscles soften and lengthen, and then into your knees and your thighs. These large, strong muscles that work so hard for you all day long can now go completely limp. Give them permission to let go of all effort. Feel the full weight of your legs sinking down, becoming heavier and heavier, melting into the mattress. Your legs are at peace. Now, bring your gentle awareness to your hips, your pelvis, and your lower back. This is an area where we often store so much tension, so much bracing against the world. See if you can invite a deep softening here. With each exhale, imagine the muscles releasing their grip, letting go layer by layer. Let your lower back feel the full support of the surface beneath it, allowing it to gently spread and widen. There is nothing to hold up. There is nothing to protect, just a deep, profound letting go. Let this warmth and heaviness flow up into your belly. Allow your belly to be soft. We so often hold our stomachs tight, a subconscious guarding of our vulnerable center. For tonight, let that guard down. Let your belly rise and fall gently, effortlessly with your breath. A soft belly is a sign of safety, of trust. And now, bring your awareness to your chest and your heart center. Feel the gentle, rhythmic movement of your breathing here. Let your chest be open and soft, releasing any tightness around your heart. Your heart has felt so much. Tonight, you can allow it to rest in a cradle of soft, easy breath, safe, peaceful, and let this wave of release flow into your shoulders. Our shoulders so often carry the weight of the world, the burdens of responsibility and worry. Imagine that weight just dissolving, melting away, flowing down your arms and out through your fingertips. Let your shoulders drop down, away from your ears. Feel the space that is created in your neck. Allow your arms to feel heavy and relaxed, from your shoulders all the way to your hands. Let your hands be soft, your fingers gently curled. Your hands have done so much today. They have worked, they have held, they have created. Now, they can be still. They can simply rest, open and receptive. And finally, bring your awareness to your neck, your jaw, your face. Let your jaw be slack, your teeth slightly apart. Release the tiny muscles around your mouth and your eyes. Smooth out the space between your eyebrows. Let your forehead be wide and calm, and even let your scalp relax. Your entire head feeling heavy and peaceful on the pillow. Your whole body, from the tips of your toes to the crown of your head, is now invited into a state of profound rest. Heavy, warm, still. Now, let's deepen the breath, just a little, just for a few moments, without any strain. On your next inhale, imagine drawing the breath deep down into your body, a wave of calm and quiet. And on the exhale, let it go with a soft, quiet sigh, a sigh of release. Let each exhale carry away the last remnants of the day's thoughts, the last traces of worry. The exhale is a letting go, a surrender. It is your body's natural way of releasing what is no longer needed. With each exhale, you are letting go of the story. You are letting go of the struggle. You are letting go of the day. You are emptying yourself out to make space for deep, restorative sleep. There is a wisdom in your body that knows exactly how to do this. You don't have to manage it. You just have to allow it. Trust this process. Trust your body's innate intelligence. It knows how to rest. It knows how to heal. Your only job is to get out of the way and let it happen. The language now becomes simpler, slower, with longer pauses. The words are just gentle reminders, soft suggestions for a mind that is already beginning to drift. Heavy body, soft breath, quiet mind. Sinking down, letting go, drifting now, deeper and deeper. The day is done. The work is finished. Nothing more to do. Nothing more to think about. Just this easy breath. Just this heavy body. Safe and sound. All is well. You are drifting toward the edge of sleep. A calm, peaceful ocean. And your breath is the gentle tide carrying you out. Effortlessly. Easily. Nothing to hold on to. Just letting the tide carry you. Into the deep. Into the quiet. Into rest. There is nothing more to do now. Nothing more to figure out. You have journeyed so very far tonight, not across miles, but through the deep and sacred landscapes within yourself. You have done enough. You are enough. You are safe now. You are whole. And you have always been whole. The shame was just a cloud passing in front of the moon. The moon was always there, full and bright and serene. You are the moon. Remember that. Your light was never diminished. It was only obscured for a little while. But the clouds are parting now, and you can rest in your own soft, steady light. Sleep is here for you now. It is not something you must chase or capture. It is a presence that is welcoming you. Imagine it as a calm, quiet harbor at the end of a long voyage. The waters are still. The air is soft. The lights on the shore are warm and gentle. And your small boat is simply gliding in, effortlessly, carried by the last gentle currents of the day. There is no need to row, no need to steer. The harbor is pulling you in, welcoming you home. Or perhaps you can feel yourself as a single, soft snowflake at the end of a long, silent fall through the vast night sky. And you are about to come to rest on a deep, quiet blanket of snow. There is no impact, no jolt, just a gentle merging, a dissolving into a great peaceful stillness, a silent becoming one with the quiet of the world. There is nothing to hold on to, nothing to be, just a soft, easy settling, a final letting go into perfect peace. What does it truly mean to forgive? Perhaps it isn't an act of pardoning a debt, but the simple, humble act of ceasing to keep score. It is laying down the heavy ledgers of resentment and self-recrimination and choosing instead to travel light. And what is healing, if not the slow, patient return of our own attention to the parts of ourselves we have exiled? It is the act of calling them home from the cold, one by one, and offering them a place by the fire in our own heart. Who would you be without that story? If you were to wake up tomorrow morning, and by some magic, the memory of the shame was gone, but the memory of the wisdom remained, how would you move through your day? What would you feel free to do, to say, to be? Just hold that question lightly. You don't need an answer. Just let the possibility of it expand in your heart. The possibility of a lighter, freer way of being. A way that is guided by the quiet wisdom you have earned, rather than the loud criticism you have endured. All the work is done. The journey of the day is complete. The journey of this meditation is complete. Now, only rest remains the deep, healing, sacred rest of the night. Allow yourself to be received by it. Surrender to its dark, soft embrace. It will hold you. It will restore you. It will bring you back to yourself. There's nothing more to do, nothing more to figure out. Just allow. Rest now. Sleep is here for you, welcoming you home.